What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the BS Show. I'm sure everybody with TV and internet saw this weekend that the world was set on fire with some boxing matches on Triller, a new app that's coming out that was promoting this fight between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., and also between Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. This was a really, really good weekend of fights. Love it or hate it, love the guys on the card or hate the card. I was really excited, and I actually really thought that the fights turned out pretty good. First, let's talk about Mike Tyson. He looked great. I think that, whenever you got old gentlemen coming back to fight, you always kind of wonder what kind of shape they're in, where's their head at, why are they doing this? And in my opinion, Mike Tyson looked really good. I believe he was really close to what his original fight weight was back in the 90s when he was active. He said he lost over 100 pounds for this fight, so he was dedicated. He was in tune, he was motivated, and he fought Roy Jones Jr., which was also a killer. Roy Jones Jr. looked all right. I wasn't very happy with the outcome of the fight. It was declared a draw. Boxing has kind of went on the back burner in a lot of people's minds for many years now. And in my opinion, there's two reasons. Number one, it's the emergence of MMA. MMA's come out. We got UFC, Bellator, One Championship. We got a lot of organizations in MMA. And I think people like to see wrestling and jiu-jitsu and takedowns and kickboxing and leg kicks and head kicks. I think people like that. But I think the other reason is a lot of people, myself included, feel that boxing is kind of a rigged sport. Fighters can kind of go out and pick and choose who they want to fight. But then the eye test, whenever you think someone's want to fight, the judges come back with a completely different outcome. I thought Mike Tyson won this fight. All my friends thought Mike Tyson won this fight. Every single person that I was watching this fight with thought Mike Tyson won this fight. And then when they declared it a draw, you kind of stand there and you're scratching your head. I understand it's for charity. I understand it's getting these two guys back in the sport, but that's why people don't trust it. Total punches, Mike Tyson won that battle. Body punches, Mike Tyson won that battle. Jabs, Mike Tyson won that battle. Power punches, Mike Tyson won that battle. He led in every single statistical category. How did he not win that fight? But that is what it is. It is what it is. Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, and we don't know if that guy's still alive, if he's awake, where he's at, is he still on the canvas? And that was the highlight of the weekend. Jake Paul is going to make himself a multi-millionaire just simply by stepping into the stepping into the ring and doing celebrity fights. Everybody and their mom is calling out this guy. You got Ben Askren calling out Jake Paul. You got Jake Paul calling out Dylan Dennis. Jake Paul calling out Conor McGregor. You got people seeing if he would fight LeBron James. You got, just everybody. You got Ryan Garcia tweeting at Jake Paul. Now, say what you want about Jake Paul, him being a YouTuber, whatever, but the dude, it looks like he's motivated, and it looks like he's pretty much made up his mind. He wants to be a professional boxer. He's training hard. He's put YouTube on the back burner, at least from what I've heard, to really focus on boxing. And I have to admit, he looked pretty darn good. That just goes to prove and goes to show that just because you're an absolute stud athlete and Nate Robinson doesn't mean you can just walk into the octagon, doesn't mean you can just walk into the ring and box and fight these people. That's a very, very common misconception, that if you're just a straight up pure athlete, you'd be a great fighter. That is not true. And Nate Robinson proved that. Nate Robinson was an NBA slam dunk champion, an NBA player. He was very athletic. His vertical leaps off the charts. The dude is a freak athlete, and it just goes to show that doesn't mean you can be a good fighter. But, if he wants to do it and he wants to stick with it, I do think he has the athleticism that he can maybe do well. But with Jake Paul, what is next for this guy? Everybody wants to fight him. Like I said, Ben Askren and Dylan Dennis, which I think he beats both of them, by the way, if this is a strict boxing match. I think Jake Paul has the tools. He's got the size. He's got the strength. He didn't look that bad. his boxing looked pretty darn good. So let me know, guys, what you thought of this weekend. Were you impressed with how everybody looked? Were you a little sad that it was a draw like me? And what do you think next for Jake Paul?